Hello, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. The memories you hold dear, the ones that shape your identity, they are not recordings. They are not perfect, pristine files stored in the hard drive of your mind. They are living things. And every single night, while you're unconscious, your brain performs a delicate, dangerous surgery on them. It doesn't just store your memories, it rewrites them, it changes them. What you remember about yesterday is not what actually happened. It's the story your brain decided to tell itself. And tonight, it will do it all over again. The question is, why? And what does that mean for who you think you are? If you're ready to question everything you know about your own mind, you're in the right place. And if you want to keep exploring these hidden corners of neuroscience, consider subscribing. We go deep here. To understand the nightly rewrite, you first need to understand the daily flood. Every second you are awake, your senses are bombarding you with information. Sights, sounds, thoughts, feelings. It's an overwhelming torrent of data. Your brain can't possibly store all of it permanently. It would be like trying to save every frame of a movie. So it has a temporary inbox, a biological scratch pad. This is a seahorse-shaped structure deep in your temporal lobe called the hippocampus. Think of it as the brain's short-term memory buffer. It grabs onto the experiences of the day, holding them in a fragile, temporary state. Your memory of the breakfast you ate this morning, the conversation you had with a coworker, the article you skimmed online, it's all sitting right there in the hippocampus, waiting. But the hippocampus has a limited capacity. It's not built for long-term storage. For that, we have the neocortex. This is the wrinkled outer layer of your brain, the seat of higher-level thought, language, and conscious awareness. If the hippocampus is the inbox, the neocortex is the grand, sprawling library, the permanent archive. The memories held in the hippocampus are detailed but context-free. They're isolated snapshots. The neocortex, on the other hand, stores the rules of the world. It knows that birds fly, that fire is hot, that your mother's face is associated with feelings of comfort. The great challenge for the brain, the one it solves every night, is how to move the important files from the temporary inbox to the permanent library without crashing the entire system. As you begin to fall asleep, your brain doesn't just switch off. It enters a highly structured four-stage cycle. The first and longest part of this journey is non-rapid eye movement, or NREM sleep. This is the deep, restorative sleep that you typically think of. Your brain waves slow down dramatically, shifting from the chaotic crackle of wakefulness to deep, rolling waves called delta waves. Your body repairs itself, your muscles relax, and your energy is replenished. But inside your head, a critical process is just beginning. The connection between your conscious mind and the outside world is severed. The daily flood of information stops, and in this newfound silence, the brain can finally begin its nightly housekeeping. During the deepest stages of NREM sleep, something remarkable happens. The hippocampus begins to talk to the neocortex. It's not a conversation in words, but in electricity. The hippocampus generates intense, high-frequency bursts of neural activity known as sharp wave ripples. You can think of these as compressed packets of information. Within these milliseconds-long bursts, the hippocampus replays the events of the day, but at a vastly accelerated speed, 10 to 20 times faster than they happened in real life. A whole afternoon's experience might be replayed in just a few seconds of neural time. This rapid-fire replay is the signal. It's the hippocampus shouting to the neocortex, "Hey, this stuff was important. Pay attention to this." The neocortex listens, and it responds. In perfect synchrony with the hippocampal ripples, the neocortex produces its own electrical signatures, sleep spindles. These are short, powerful bursts of brainwave activity that last for maybe half a second. Scientists now believe that these spindles are the mechanism that physically strengthens the connections between neurons, locking the new memory into the long-term storage of the cortex. It's a beautiful, intricate dance. The hippocampus proposes a memory for storage by replaying it, and the neocortex accepts it and strengthens it with a sleep spindle. This dialogue, this ripple and spindle conversation happens hundreds, even thousands of nights. It's the physical process of moving a memory from fragile to stable. But here's where the first rewrite begins. The brain isn't just copying and pasting, it's editing. The process is called synaptic consolidation, and it involves two opposing actions. First, long-term potentiation, which is the strengthening of synaptic connections that the sleep spindles trigger. This makes the memory trace more robust. But just as important is a process called synaptic depression or pruning. To make room for the new, important information, the brain has to weaken and eliminate old, irrelevant connections. It's a use-it-or-lose-it principle at the microscopic level. The memory of what you wore 3 Tuesdays ago? The exact wording of an unimportant email? Pruned. Gone. By selectively forgetting the trivial details, the brain makes the core, essential parts of the memory stand out. It's not just saving the file, it's cleaning it up, removing the noise so the signal is clearer. This pruning process leads to a fascinating transformation. The memory stored in the hippocampus was rich with specific episodic detail. The time of day, the sounds in the background, the exact feeling of the chair you were sitting in. But as the memory transfers to the neocortex, it often loses this specific context. The brain extracts the gist of the information. It strips away the unnecessary details and integrates the core lesson into your general knowledge of the world. You don't remember every single time you've seen a dog, but you have a very strong concept of what a dog is. That's the neocortex at work. It has taken thousands of individual experiences from the hippocampus and abstracted the general rule. This is the first major rewrite. Your brain is changing your memories from a personal story into a general piece of knowledge. After about 90 minutes of NREM sleep, your brain chemistry shifts dramatically. A flood of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine paralyzes your voluntary muscles, preventing you from acting out your dreams. Your brain waves suddenly look almost identical to when you're awake, fast and erratic. Your eyes begin to dart back and forth behind your eyelids. You have now entered rapid eye movement sleep, or REM. This is the stage most associated with vivid, bizarre, and emotional dreaming. For a long time, scientists thought REM sleep was just a strange cinematic byproduct of a resting brain, but we now know it's where the most profound and personal memory rewriting takes place. One of the most magical things that happens during REM sleep is a complete shutdown of a specific neurochemical, norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline. This is a key chemical associated with stress and anxiety. It's the fight or flight molecule. In the waking world, stressful events cause a spike in noradrenaline, which helps burn the experience into your memory. The problem is, this also links the memory to the intense emotion. REM sleep offers a solution. By replaying these emotional memories in a brain that is completely free of this anxiety-inducing chemical, it performs a kind of overnight therapy. It cleverly separates the emotion from the experience. This is why you can remember a difficult or even traumatic event from your past without reliving the intense panic or pain you felt at the time. The brain keeps the informational content of the memory, but discards the raw, visceral emotional charge. This emotional stripping process is absolutely critical for mental health, and we see what happens when it fails in conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder. Research has shown that individuals with PTSD often have elevated levels of noradrenaline even during REM sleep. Their brains are unable to create that safe, chemically calm environment. As a result, when the traumatic memory is replayed, it's replayed with all of its original emotional terror. The brain isn't stripping the emotion away, it's re-traumatizing itself night after night. This reinforces the connection between the memory and the fear, creating a vicious cycle. It's a stark illustration of how vital this nightly emotional rewrite is for our ability to move on from difficult experiences and maintain emotional balance. REM sleep isn't just about therapy, it's also about creativity. While NREM sleep is busy filing away the day's events, REM sleep is all about making connections. In this bizarre neurochemical state, the brain is no longer constrained by the rigid logic of the waking world. It starts to collide information in novel ways. It takes the new memories that were just consolidated and smashes them up against the vast archive of old memories stored in the neocortex. This is where your brain looks for hidden patterns and remote associations. It might connect a problem you were working on at your job with a strategy from a video game you played years ago. This process of hyper-association is believed to be the biological basis for creative insight and problem-solving. It's the reason you can wake up with a solution to a problem that seemed impossible the day before. History is filled with anecdotes of this process in action. The most famous is probably the story of the chemist August Kekule. He was struggling for months to figure out the chemical structure of the benzene molecule. All the evidence suggested it was a chain of 6 carbon atoms, but he couldn't figure out how they bonded. One evening, exhausted, he dozed off in his chair. He dreamed of atoms dancing and forming long chains, which then twisted and turned like snakes. Suddenly, one of the snakes seized its own tail in its mouth and whirled mockingly before his eyes. He awoke in a flash. The structure was a ring. His dreaming brain, free from the linear assumptions of his waking mind, had made a novel connection and solved one of the most fundamental problems in organic chemistry. This wasn't magic, it was the brain's nightly rewrite process at its most creative. This nightly refinement isn't limited to facts and emotions, it's also crucial for motor skills. When you learn a new physical action, like a golf swing or a piano chord, you are creating a procedural memory. Studies have shown that sleep, particularly the NREM stages, is essential for cementing these skills. Just like it replays declarative memories of what happened, the brain replays the neural firing patterns associated with these movements. It's like a mental practice session. It refines the muscle memory, making the movements more efficient and automatic. This is why you can struggle with a new skill all evening, feel like you're making no progress, and then wake up the next morning and perform it with surprising ease. Your brain was practicing all night long. So let's put it all together. Your night is not one long, uniform state of unconsciousness. It's a dynamic, repeating cycle. You descend into deep NREM sleep, where your brain diligently replays the day's events, strengthening the important memories and pruning the trivial ones. This is the filing and cleaning phase. Then you ascend into the wild, chaotic world of REM sleep. Here, your brain works on the emotional content of those memories, stripping away anxiety and integrates them with your past, looking for novel connections and creative insights. This is the therapy and brainstorming phase. This entire cycle takes about 90 minutes, and you'll typically go through it 4 or 5 times a night. Each cycle plays a different role, and each is essential for maintaining a healthy, functional mind. Now that we understand the intricate work the brain does every night, we can truly appreciate the damage caused by sleep deprivation. When you pull an all-nighter, you are denying your brain its essential maintenance window. The hippocampus, your short-term inbox, becomes completely saturated. It has no ability to take in new information effectively. This is why after a sleepless night, you can't learn anything new. You might read the same paragraph 5 times and have no idea what it said. Your ability to form new memories plummets. You are, in a very real sense, mentally crippled. The consequences go far beyond simple memory encoding. Without REM sleep, you miss out on that critical overnight therapy. The emotional charge from the day's events is never processed. The amygdala, your brain's emotional gas pedal, becomes hyperactive. At the same time, the connection to your prefrontal cortex, the rational, logical part of your brain that acts as the brake, is weakened. The result is a brain on an emotional hair trigger. Small frustrations become enraging. Minor worries become overwhelming anxieties. You lose your sense of emotional proportion. A lack of sleep doesn't just make you tired, it makes you irrational and emotionally volatile by robbing you of the brain's natural reset button. But perhaps the most unsettling consequence, the one that truly strikes at the core of who you are, is the impact of sleep deprivation on the integrity of your existing memories. Think of your memories as the source code of your identity, and every night your brain runs a critical maintenance program on that code. This nightly rewrite is an incredibly delicate, precise process. But when it's rushed, when it's constantly interrupted by a lack of restorative sleep, the brain starts to make profound mistakes. It's like a master librarian tasked with sorting and shelving every book of your day's experiences. A rested librarian works methodically, cross-referencing, repairing torn pages, and placing each volume exactly where it belongs. A sleep-deprived librarian, however, is frantic. They're just shoving books onto shelves. They might fail to prune irrelevant details, like keeping the book about the color of a stranger's shoes while misplacing the one about a critical conversation you had. Your memory becomes cluttered with useless noise. But it gets much, much worse. The exhausted brain might start incorrectly combining elements from completely different experiences. It's a sort of memory splicing. It might take the anxiety you felt during a stressful work presentation and stitch it onto the memory of a pleasant dinner with your family later that evening. Now, when you recall that dinner, it feels tense, unsettling. The memory is tainted with an emotion that was never there. A fiction has been created. This isn't just theory. Study after study has shown that sleep-deprived individuals are alarmingly more susceptible to forming entirely false memories. In a lab setting, they can be convincingly persuaded they saw an object that was never in the room or heard a word that was never spoken. Their brains, so desperate to make sense of the jumbled, fragmented information still rattling around in the hippocampus, simply start to fill in the gaps. They invent plausible fictions to create a coherent story. And the terrifying part is, these fictions don't feel fake. They feel as real, as authentic as any genuine memory. What this means is that your personal history becomes pliable, unreliable. Your memories are more open to suggestion, more prone to error. The very foundation of your past becomes unstable. This goes far beyond forgetting names or dates. It means you literally can't trust your own mind to tell you the truth about your own life.
So, what's driving this whole complex system? It's a finely tuned cocktail of chemicals, an intricate neurochemical ballet that dictates when you're awake and when you sleep. It all starts the moment you wake up. During the day, as your neurons fire away, As you think, move, and process the world, they produce a natural byproduct called adenosine. Think of it like a scale inside your head. Every moment you're awake adds a tiny, imperceptible grain of sand to one side of that scale. That grain of sand is adenosine. Hour after hour, it slowly builds up and the scale begins to tip, creating a powerful physical weight in your brain. This is what scientists call sleep pressure. It's not just a feeling, it's a tangible biological imperative. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine accumulates, and the more that scale tips until the urge to sleep becomes undeniable. Now, this is where your morning coffee comes in. Caffeine is a master of deception. It works by blocking the very receptors that adenosine needs to bind to. Imagine adenosine is a key, and the receptors in your brain are the locks. When the key fits the lock, you feel tired. Caffeine is like a counterfeit key. It's just the right shape to slide into the lock and jam it. By blocking the receptor, it tricks your brain into thinking it's not tired. But here's the crucial part. Caffeine doesn't get rid of the adenosine. The grains of sand are still piling up on the scale, silently in the background. This is why when the caffeine finally wears off, the full weight of that accumulated sleep pressure can hit you like a ton of bricks. That's the caffeine crash. But pressure isn't enough. You also need timing. As darkness begins to fall, your eyes sense the change in light and send a signal deep into your brain to the pineal gland. This gland then begins to release melatonin, the famous hormone of darkness. Melatonin isn't a sedative, it won't knock you out. It's more like a town crier, moving through the city of your brain and announcing that night has come. It signals that it's time to quiet down the daytime operations and prepare for sleep. Once you're finally asleep, another critical chemical switch is flipped. Orexin, a neurotransmitter that vigorously promotes wakefulness and alertness, is actively suppressed. Think of orexin as the conductor keeping your conscious mind alert and engaged all day. When the time is right, that conductor is told to leave the stage. This constant, perfectly timed ebb and flow of different neurochemicals, the rise of adenosine and melatonin, the fall of orexin, is what masterfully orchestrates the entire process. It's this chemical handoff that guides you through the transitions between wakefulness, the shallow stages of NREM sleep, the deep restorative stages, and finally into the world of REM sleep, ensuring each stage happens precisely when it should and for exactly how long you need it.
The way we humans sleep feels completely normal to us. We lie down, we close our eyes, and for the next several hours, we enter a period of total unconsciousness. But if you stop and really think about it from a biological, evolutionary perspective, it's a profoundly dangerous act. For a huge chunk of every single day, we are completely vulnerable, helpless. We're deaf and blind to the world, an easy target for any predator or environmental threat. This nightly surrender seems like an incredible risk to take, a gamble our ancestors had to make every single night. Because of this inherent danger, some animals have evolved truly incredible solutions to the problem of sleep. They've found a way to get the rest they need without ever fully letting their guard down. Take the dolphin. A dolphin can't just go unconscious at the bottom of the ocean. It's a mammal. It has to consciously come to the surface to breathe. If it slept like we do, it would simply drown. So what's the solution? Dolphins engage in something called unihemispheric sleep. It's an almost science fiction concept. They literally put one half of their brain to sleep at a time. The other half remains awake, alert, and fully functional. This allows them to keep swimming, to keep surfacing for air, and, critically, to keep one eye open, scanning the water for sharks or other dangers. It's like having a dedicated security guard on duty inside your own skull. After a couple of hours, the roles reverse. The sleeping hemisphere wakes up, and the one that was on watch gets its turn to rest. It's a seamless, elegant biological workaround. Ducks sleeping in a row do something remarkably similar, but with a social twist. If you ever see a line of ducks resting at the water's edge, they aren't just arranged randomly. It's a defensive formation. The ducks in the protected middle of the row feel safe. They're buffered by their companions on either side, so they'll shut down completely, sleeping with both brain hemispheres just like we do. But the ducks on the far vulnerable ends of the row, they become the sentinels. They also use unihemispheric sleep. The duck on the far right end will keep its left half of its brain awake, which controls its right, outward-facing eye. That eye stays open, scanning for any sign of a fox or other threat. The duck on the far left end does the exact opposite. They are the group's early warning system. These adaptations are a powerful testament to just how fundamental the process of sleep really is. It isn't a luxury or a simple matter of resting the body. It's a non-negotiable biological necessity, so vital that evolution has gone to these extraordinary, complex lengths to build fail-safes that make it safe enough to happen. So, a key question is, how does the brain decide which memories to keep and which ones to just let go? Every single day, you're flooded with a staggering amount of information. Sights, sounds, thoughts, conversations. It's a tidal wave of data. If your brain tried to store every single detail, it would be completely overwhelmed. It would be like a library with no librarian, where every book, pamphlet, and scrap of paper is thrown onto one massive pile. Utter chaos. So it has to choose. And that process is anything but random. The brain has a sophisticated tagging system. Think of it like this. Certain experiences get a priority sticker slapped on them, and the most powerful sticker of all is emotion. Memories that are tied to strong emotions get automatically flagged as important. Deep inside your brain, a little almond-shaped structure called the amygdala acts as the emotional mission control. When you have an experience that provokes intense fear or profound joy, or even just shocking surprise, the amygdala springs into action. It essentially puts a bright neon "Save This" sticker on that memory. It chemically highlights the experience, telling the rest of the brain, this one matters. This is a survival lesson. That's why you can remember exactly where you were and what you were doing during a major world event, but you have absolutely no idea what you had for lunch last Tuesday. One was emotionally charged, the other was just Tuesday. But it's not all automatic. Your conscious intention plays a massive role too. This is where you get to be the librarian. The simple act of trying to remember something, of telling yourself, this is important, I need to know this, engages your prefrontal cortex. That's the executive decision maker of your brain. When you consciously focus on a piece of information, you're manually applying that "Save This" sticker yourself. Your prefrontal cortex tags that memory for preferential treatment later on, especially during sleep, when most of the consolidation happens. So, whether it's a jolt of emotion or a deliberate act of focus, your brain is constantly listening. It's paying close attention to your waking priorities to decide what's worth remembering. Now, this rewriting process doesn't just happen to new memories while you sleep. The most unsettling part is that even your old, well-established memories, the ones that feel like the bedrock of who you are, stored away in your neocortex, are not set in stone. Not even close. You probably think of memory retrieval as a simple act of playback, like pulling a file from a computer's hard drive or a book from a library shelf. You open it, you observe it, and you put it back unchanged. But that's not what the brain does. The brain is an active editor, not a passive librarian.
Every single time you recall a memory, the simple act of remembering makes that memory trace temporarily unstable. It becomes soft, pliable, and malleable again. This neurological process is called reconsolidation. Imagine taking a clay sculpture off the shelf. In the warmth of your conscious mind, the clay softens. It becomes workable. And in that fragile state, the memory can be updated. It can be subtly changed. You can add new information, whether it's true or false, or you can paint over it with a completely new emotional context. On one hand, this is incredibly useful. It's a critical feature for survival. It's how we learn and adapt. If you have a memory of a specific path through the woods being safe, but one day you encounter a predator there, you need to update that memory. Reconsolidation allows you to attach a new critical piece of information, danger, to the old file. It keeps your internal map of the world current. But it's also incredibly dangerous. This process means our oldest and most cherished memories can be altered little by little every time we access them. We might accidentally incorporate a detail from a story someone else told us about a shared event, believing it was our own experience. Your cousin mentioned the blue hat once, years later, and during your next recollection, your brain seamlessly edited that detail in. Now for you, the hat is forever blue. The emotional tone can be overwritten too. The memory of a painful breakup, recalled in a moment of new love and happiness, might be reconsolidated with a softer edge, tinged with nostalgia instead of betrayal. The core facts haven't changed, but the emotional truth of that memory has been fundamentally rewritten by your present state. This is another slower and more insidious form of the nightly rewrite, a constant, microscopic edit that happens throughout our entire lives. Think about the structure of your sleep, the predictable rhythm of the night. Scientists have a name for this: sleep architecture. And just like the architecture of a building, it's not the same for everyone, and it certainly doesn't stay the same throughout our lives. The blueprint is constantly being revised. Take an infant. Their sleep architecture is almost entirely different from an adult's. A huge proportion of their time asleep is spent in REM sleep, that active, dream-filled state. Why? Because REM is thought to be the master foreman for brain development, a critical period for wiring the trillions of neural connections in their rapidly expanding minds. It's a period of frantic, behind-the-scenes construction. Then, as we move into adolescence and young adulthood, the architecture solidifies. The foundation becomes rock solid. We experience these long, robust periods of deep, non-REM sleep. This is the deepest, most restorative stage you can get. It's a biological necessity, perfect for consolidating new learning and cementing skills. It's during these profound depths that our brain gets to work on memory processing. But this robust structure begins to weather with age. As we get older, our sleep architecture often becomes less stable. It gets lighter, more easily disturbed, more fragmented. The deep foundational stages begin to erode. Specifically, the amount of that deep, slow-wave NREM sleep we get can decrease dramatically. For some people in their 70s, it's almost completely gone. This isn't just a matter of feeling less refreshed. We now know that this decline in deep sleep is directly and causally linked to age-related memory decline. Here's what's happening. Every day, you form new memories in a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it as a temporary inbox. It has a limited capacity. At night, during deep NREM sleep, a crucial process is supposed to happen. The hippocampus needs to communicate with the neocortex, the brain's long-term storage hard drive. It needs to transfer those new files, those memories, for permanent keeping. If you're not getting that deep, slow-wave sleep, that communication channel breaks down. The nightly file transfer simply fails. The hippocampus gets full, and with no way to offload the previous day's information, it has to delete files to make room for new ones tomorrow.
those memories don't just become harder to access, they're lost permanently. Given the critical importance of sleep for memory, for our brain's very ability to learn and retain information, it's really no surprise that a whole industry has sprung up around sleep optimization. Everyone's looking for an edge. The central question is, can we actually intervene and enhance this natural process? Can we make our sleep work harder for us? The research is still in its very early days, we have to be clear about that, but some of the initial findings are genuinely promising. Take, for instance, a technique called auditory closed-loop stimulation. It sounds complex, but the idea behind it is incredibly elegant. As you drift into that deep non-REM sleep, your brain produces these powerful, rolling, slow waves of electrical activity. This is the prime time for memory consolidation. What scientists have discovered is that if you play very specific, soft auditory tones, not a melody, just a precisely timed sound, and you synchronize them perfectly with the rising peak of those brainwaves, you can actually boost their power. Think of it like giving a swing a gentle push at the exact right moment. You're not forcing a new rhythm, you're amplifying the one that's already there. That gentle push makes the slow waves bigger, more robust, and studies have shown that doing this can significantly improve a person's ability to recall information the next day. It's a subtle but direct enhancement of the brain's own mechanism. Another area of intense research involves precisely timed temperature changes. This isn't just about feeling cozy. A slight drop in your core body temperature is one of the most powerful biological triggers for initiating sleep and, crucially, for maintaining that deep restorative state. So researchers are now experimenting with technologies that can create a personalized temperature profile throughout the night, cooling your body by a degree or two to help you fall into deep sleep faster, and then gently warming you back up as morning approaches to facilitate a more natural awakening. So while there's no magic bullet, no single device that will solve everything, the fundamental idea of actively and intelligently boosting our brain's natural nightly maintenance process, well, that's no longer science fiction. It's an active and very serious field of study. We've talked about facts, emotions, and motor skills, but there's another critical domain where sleep is the silent overnight architect: our social lives. Our brains are wired to understand and navigate incredibly complex social hierarchies. Think about your average day. You're not just listening to words, you're constantly, almost subconsciously, reading a flood of subtle cues. The slight tightening around a colleague's eyes, the fractional hesitation in your boss's tone of voice, the open and relaxed body language of a friend. It's an enormous amount of data to process in real time. When we sleep, our brain gets to work sorting through all of it. It's like a detective reviewing the day's case files, connecting seemingly disparate clues to build a complete picture. Sleep helps us consolidate this social information, taking it from a fuzzy, immediate impression to a more stable, long-term understanding. It specifically refines our ability to recognize emotions in others. That overnight processing calibrates our internal emotion detector, making it more sensitive and more accurate. You wake up better able to distinguish genuine surprise from polite feigning. But it goes deeper. Sleep helps us understand social causality, the why behind the what. Why did that person act the way they did in the meeting? Sleep helps piece together the context, their past behavior, and their nonverbal signals to form a coherent narrative. You're not just remembering that they were quiet, you're starting to understand why. Without proper sleep, this entire sophisticated system starts to malfunction. Our ability to read social situations accurately becomes severely impaired. The brain's social compass is essentially broken. We're far more likely to misinterpret a neutral, even ambiguous facial expression as hostile. Your partner asks a simple question, "Did you take out the trash?" But your exhausted brain doesn't just hear the words, it perceives a threat, an accusation. It overlays a negative filter onto reality, leading directly to misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict. Your social perception becomes a blunt instrument when it needs to be a scalpel. So a good night's sleep doesn't just make you a better learner or more efficient at work, it fundamentally makes you a better, more finely tuned, and more empathetic human being.
But beyond the crucial work of memory consolidation, there's another more physical cleaning process that happens exclusively during sleep. It's a deep biological housekeeping that's just as vital. This process is managed by something called the glymphatic system. Think of your brain as a bustling city. During the day, it's incredibly active. The streets are packed with traffic, thoughts, commands, sensory information, all moving at high speed. There's simply no room for a cleanup crew. But when you fall into deep non-REM sleep, the city effectively shuts down for the night, and that's when the janitors come out. In a truly remarkable physical transformation, your brain cells actually contract. They can shrink by as much as 60%, a dramatic change that massively increases the space between the cells. Suddenly, the narrow, congested alleyways of your conscious brain become wide-open boulevards. Once these channels are open, the system turns on the power washers. Cerebrospinal fluid, the clear liquid that bathes your brain and spinal cord, is forcefully pumped through this newly created space. It doesn't just trickle, it surges through, scouring the intricate crevices of your brain and flushing out all the metabolic waste and cellular debris that accumulated during the day. And one of the most critical toxins it clears away is a protein called amyloid beta. This is a natural byproduct of your neurons firing all day long, a kind of cellular exhaust. But if it's left to sit, it's dangerously sticky. It starts clumping together, forming the hard, insoluble plaques that are the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. These plaques gum up the works, choke off synapses, and disrupt communication between brain cells. This entire process, the shrinking, the flushing, the waste removal, is physically incompatible with being awake. Your brain has to make a choice. It can be conscious and processing the world, or it can be offline and cleaning house. It simply cannot do both at the same time. This is why chronically cutting your sleep short is so dangerous. You're denying the cleanup crew its shift night after night. You're literally allowing toxic proteins to build up, which helps explain the very strong and very serious link between poor sleep and an increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases. All right, let's get back to the central mystery of dreams. We've talked about what they are, but what about why they are? Specifically, why the bizarre, often frightening narratives that play out in our minds every night. One of the most compelling theories to emerge is known as the threat simulation theory. It proposes that dreams are in essence a kind of biological virtual reality. Think of it like a highly advanced simulator. A pilot doesn't learn to fly a new jet in a real crisis. They spend hundreds of hours in a simulator, crashing and recovering in a safe, virtual space. The brain, this theory suggests, does the same thing for us while we sleep. It's a rehearsal space for life's dangers. This makes perfect sense from an evolutionary standpoint. For millennia, our ancestors lived under the shadow of constant, tangible, physical threats. The world was a dangerous place. So, the dream world became a training ground. It provided a nightly space to simulate being chased by a predator, finding an escape route, navigating treacherous terrain in the dark, or fighting an opponent.
As terrifying as those dreams might be, they served a critical function. They reinforced the neural pathways for those survival skills. You could practice the flight or fight response, sharpen your reaction time, and run through scenarios of evasion, all without any actual life-threatening risk. It was a cognitive fire drill. But in the modern world, the saber-toothed tiger has been replaced. Our threats are now more often social and psychological. It's the looming deadline, the fear of public speaking, that difficult conversation you need to have with a loved one. So, our threat simulation system has adapted. That recurring anxiety dream where you're in a final exam for a class you never attended, that's not just random stress. It could be your brain running a simulation of failure and the panic that comes with it, preparing you to better handle high-pressure situations when you're awake. The dream might be our brain's sophisticated way of running through these new modern threats, preparing us for the real thing before it ever happens. Many of us, probably most of us, live by the mantra of, "I'll catch up on sleep this weekend." We burn the candle at both ends from Monday to Friday, fueled by coffee and sheer willpower, promising ourselves a long lie-in on Saturday morning. And when we do, we often feel better, less groggy, a bit more human, so it feels like it works. But the science is overwhelmingly clear. The idea that you can fully catch up is largely a myth. It helps to understand that there are two kinds of sleep debt. The first is the basic physical kind. It's driven by a chemical called adenosine that builds up in your brain all day, creating what we call sleep pressure. The longer you're awake, the more you have, and the sleepier you feel. When you finally sleep for 10 hours on a Saturday, you're clearing out all that accumulated adenosine. That's why you feel physically refreshed. You've paid back that simple debt, and the grogginess is gone. But that's where the good news stops. The second, more critical type of sleep debt is neurological, and it's non-refundable. All those higher-level brain functions, things like memory consolidation and emotional processing, they don't work on a flexible payment plan. The window for filing away Monday's memories was Monday night. That was the dedicated time for your brain to sort through the day's experiences, discard the trivial, and solidify the important information. The window for processing Tuesday's emotional events, for stripping away the sharp, painful edges of a stressful encounter, was Tuesday night. You can't do it all on Saturday. It's like trying to cram a week's worth of intricate repair work into a few hours. The foundation has already settled with cracks in it. Some of the higher-level cognitive benefits of sleep, once lost, are gone for good. That's why even after a catch-up weekend, you might still feel mentally foggy or emotionally fragile. Consistent nightly sleep is far more powerful than 1 or 2 marathon recovery sessions. It's a non-negotiable nightly maintenance job, not a weekend deep clean. So, knowing all of this, how can we actively support this critical nightly process? How do we give our brains the best possible chance to do their work? The advice is simple in principle, but its power is profound when practiced with dedication. The absolute foundation, the non-negotiable starting point, is consistency. This is about regulating your rhythm. Think of your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm, as a finely tuned orchestra. It needs a consistent conductor. When you go to bed at 11 p.m. one night, 2 a.m. the next, and then try to catch up by sleeping until noon on a Saturday, you're essentially throwing the conductor off the stage. The result is chaos. This is what experts call social jet lag. Sleeping in on the weekend feels good in the moment, but it's like taking a flight to a different time zone for 2 days and then expecting to be sharp and ready for Monday morning. You're putting your body through a state of perpetual jet lag. So aim to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time, every day. Yes, even on weekends. This regularity anchors your entire biology, providing the predictability your brain craves. Next, you need to transform your bedroom into a sanctuary for sleep. Its purpose isn't to be a multi-purpose entertainment zone or a satellite office. It should be a cool, dark, quiet cave. And I mean dark. Our brains are ancient, and they are exquisitely sensitive to light. Even the tiny blinking light from a charger or a sliver of streetlight creeping through the blinds can penetrate your eyelids and signal to your brain that dawn is approaching. This is a primal cue to start waking up. Get blackout curtains. Use an eye mask. Make it as dark as you possibly can. The environment should also be cool. Your body's core temperature needs to drop by a couple of degrees to initiate and maintain deep sleep. A cold room facilitates that drop. And then there's the biggest offender in our modern world, our screens. The blue light blasting from our phones, tablets, and computers is a powerful direct signal to the brain that says it's the middle of the day, stay awake. It actively suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone of darkness. You're essentially telling your brain to hit the brakes on sleep right when you need it to be hitting the gas. You have to create a buffer zone. Put all screens away at least an hour, preferably 90 minutes, before your head hits the pillow. We also have to be mindful of what we consume. Let's talk about caffeine. All day long that you're awake, a chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain. You can think of it as sleep pressure. The more adenosine, the sleepier you feel. Caffeine works by cleverly blocking the receptors for adenosine. It's like putting earmuffs on your brain so it can't hear how tired it is. But the adenosine is still there, building up in the background. When the caffeine finally wears off, that accumulated sleep pressure hits you like a tidal wave. That's the crash. And given that caffeine can have a half-life of 5 to 7 hours, that coffee you had at 3 p.m. can still be significantly disrupting your sleep at 10 p.m. Then there's alcohol. Many people use it as a sleep aid, and it's true, it's a sedative. It can knock you out. But sedation is not sleep. As your body processes the alcohol during the second half of the night, it causes a rebound effect. Your brain becomes overactivated, leading to fragmented, shallow sleep. It specifically decimates your REM sleep, which is essential for emotional processing and creative memory consolidation. You might have been unconscious for 8 hours, but you wake up feeling physically and mentally exhausted. Finally, a powerful habit to anchor all of this is getting morning sunlight. As soon as you can after waking, get outside for 10 to 15 minutes. You don't need to stare at the sun, just let the light hit your eyes. The photons from natural daylight are the most potent signal for resetting your circadian rhythm. It's the starting gun for your 24-hour clock. This morning light triggers the timely release of cortisol to make you feel alert, and more importantly, it starts a countdown. By getting that strong signal in the morning, you are programming your brain to begin producing melatonin at the right time that evening, about 14 to 16 hours later, ensuring you'll be ready for sleep when night falls once again.
You know, when we think of scientific frontiers, we usually picture distant galaxies or the deepest parts of the ocean. But one of the most profound and exciting frontiers is right behind our own eyes. The science of sleep is finally coming into its own, and we're only just beginning to grasp the sheer complexity of what happens when we go unconscious every single night. For centuries, we thought of sleep as just an off switch, a passive state of rest. We couldn't have been more wrong. The sleeping brain is a hotbed of crucial activity. In the not-so-distant future, we might be able to move from being passive recipients of sleep to active participants. We're talking about the ability to precisely target and enhance specific functions that happen while we're out. Imagine this. You've spent an entire day in a class struggling to understand a complex new concept in physics or coding. It feels fragile, temporary. That night, you could use a form of gentle, non-invasive stimulation to specifically boost the memory consolidation for that exact information. You'd be encouraging the precise sleep spindles needed to transfer that knowledge from short-term holding to permanent storage. Or think about the emotional side of things. We've all had difficult, painful days that linger. Sleep is supposed to be the great healer, the process that takes the sharp edges off of painful memories.
But it's an imperfect tool. What if we could enhance that process? Not to erase the memory, that would be dangerous, but to help the brain process the event and strip away its debilitating emotional charge. It could be a powerful therapeutic tool for people dealing with trauma, allowing the brain to file the experience as a lesson learned instead of a wound that constantly reopens. This all points toward a form of personalized medicine that adjusts our very sleep architecture based on our daily needs. A wearable sensor might register that you had an incredibly high cognitive load or a day filled with emotional stress. That night, your sleep could be subtly guided to compensate, perhaps by extending the duration of deep non-REM sleep for physical and cerebral restoration, or by promoting the REM sleep needed for emotional integration. As we learn to decode the intricate language of the sleeping brain, the meaning behind the sharp wave ripples, the function of the spindles, the purpose of the complex chemical cascades, we move closer to a world where we can actively guide this essential process of nightly renewal. And in doing so, we could fundamentally improve our human experience, our ability to learn, our capacity to heal, and our potential to create. So, let's get one thing straight about your memory. Your brain is not a passive scribe, sitting in a dusty room diligently recording every single event of your life. It's not a court stenographer typing out a verbatim transcript of your day. If it did that, you'd be buried under an avalanche of useless information, a chaotic flood of meaningless data. No, your brain is something far more creative. It's an active and, frankly, opinionated sculptor. And every single night, when you go to sleep, it walks into its workshop. It looks at the raw material you've given it, this giant, shapeless block of marble that is the sum total of your daily experiences, and it goes to work. With its chisel, it starts chipping away at the noise, the thousands of irrelevant details that don't serve the larger story. What color was the shirt the barista was wearing? What was the license plate of the car in front of you? The exact pattern on the carpet at the office? Gone. They're just dust on the workshop floor, discarded because they don't help build the essential structure of the story. Then, the sculptor takes out its finer tools to work on the texture. It starts to smooth the rough emotional edges of the day's events. That sharp sting of embarrassment from saying the wrong thing in a meeting, that flash of anger in traffic. Sleep softens it. It doesn't erase the event, but it works to decouple the intense, raw emotion from the memory itself. It's a form of overnight therapy, allowing you to keep the lesson without being perpetually wounded by the experience. And most importantly, the sculptor is an artist of context. It's always looking for the deeper connections, searching for the beautiful underlying patterns that tie this new day to all your other days. It asks, how does this fit? Where does this piece of knowledge connect to an old problem? It builds bridges between islands of information, creating a coherent, interconnected web of understanding. The artwork it finally creates is your memory, and you have to understand it's not a perfect replica of the original stone. It was never meant to be. A perfect replica would be that messy, raw block, unwieldy and meaningless. The sculpture is something far more useful, far more profound. It's a streamlined, emotionally processed, and deeply interconnected version of your past, and it's been shaped with one primary purpose: to help you better navigate your future. What you are, who you are at your core, is not just the sum of things that have happened to you. Not at all. You are the sum of what your sleeping brain has chosen to do with them. You're not the block. You are the sculpture. You go to sleep each night as one person and wake up as a slightly different one. Your memories have been subtly altered, your emotional landscape has been reset, and new connections have been forged. You are a work in progress, and the artist works the night shift. So the next time you lay your head on the pillow, don't think of it as shutting down. Think of it as handing the keys over to the most brilliant editor, therapist, and creative director in the universe, the one that lives inside your own head. Now, I have a question for you. Knowing that your brain actively edits your past, has there ever been a memory you've noticed change over time? A story you tell differently now than you did years ago? Let me know in the comments below. Sleep well.